Welcome back, everybody, to the Nerdcore Podcast, the podcast that reviews the movies and talks that nerd shit. This is episode 706, and it is your review of Andrei Tarkovsky's Nostalgia. Of course, it is the nerd you're going to hear the host show. That's my wonderful co host, Brad Young Yoda.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to wonderful, wonderful Labor Day Monday.
Live, early, and ad free before anybody else gets to watch it on Tuesday at 12 p.m. Central Time over on patreon.com/nerdcore. You can get this episode for just $1 a month. Just $1 a month. You get the backlog and you get episodes streamed to you live where you can chat with us and you get them early and ad free before anybody else gets to watch them. But before we can go ahead and get into today's review that is kicking off our annual International Film Month, Brad, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I didn't do
How'd you
much.
spend how'd you spend your Labor Day?
Not doing any labor.
Me neither.
I didn't do any labor.
Me neither. No
I know
labor
of.
today. Except for the labor that we love, right? The
Yeah,
one that
yeah,
watching a
watch
movie,
some movies.
so we can be able to do our podcast today.
Indeed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What's
And
we still celebrate holidays, guys. Like as in like the Christmas, the Thanksgiving. Still, we take those days off here, but like
yeah,
stuff like this, we're like, yeah, fuck it. Why are we gonna take this day off?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
But yeah. Also, we finished Tarkovsky, his main
finally,
movies.
yes.
We finished another director.
Yeah. Today we finally conclude Andrei Tarkovsky's films. That means I have to go through the backlog in the Patreon and download the episode for I believe it would be Solaris, the one that we did for the mini pod that month,
Yeah.
and upload it here so you guys can watch it. It's not gonna have any video to it because we didn't do videos back then.
No, and that was
But
about.
at least have it available for you guys here so you can have a full complete reviews. And I'll make a little mini playlist for you guys for all the Tarkovsky reviews. But yes, easily probably one of my most anticipated reviews that I've wanted to do on this, but I had held off on selecting this movie for a long time. There's a lot of there was a lot of international months where I actually wanted to pick this one. Remember, there was an international month where I picked Andrei Rublev,
Mhm.
and we did Rublev,
Yeah.
and but this one specifically,
And Andrei Rublev was 3 hours and something.
yeah, 3 hours and 13 minutes long.
Yeah.
Because there's a longer version. Yeah.
Of course there is.
I have not seen it. Yeah. But we watched his preferred cut, which was the 3 hour and 13-minute version. But I wanted to select this one, but I held off specifically because there was not a good looking version or a good sounding version of this movie until, good looking version now until Kino Lorber put out this 4K on what's it called and
What was the previous looking one? Was that just total shite?
Brad, I mean, it is rough.
Because what I watched today, that was nice.
Yeah.
They did I mean, if it was that bad, they did a great restoration.
Well, I mean, if you want to, you could go look at my channel and look at my review of the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Because it'll have footage, but I can show you later after we're done here. But yeah, this movie looked really rough before, really really rough. So I wanted to wait for that moment when we could finally get a better looking version of this movie, and thankfully we have it. And it's here. Audio is still very very iffy to me. That's still very iffy to me, but at least this looks a lot better.
Yeah.
But there's still work to be done for this. And I don't think there is more to be done to this. Like honestly, when it comes to the audio, if they couldn't fix it this time around with the technology we have, I don't think the audio is going to be fixed anytime soon.
No,
So probably not, right? But
I don't think it took away anything from me.
No, it's still
because I got to read most of the time anyway.
Yeah, it's just I saw the Blu-ray I've seen the Blu-ray 2 times now. Seen this for 1 time. Audio track is pretty much still the same from that Blu-ray. It feels like they did pretty much just a little bit of work on the audio, and there was still more to be done. But Brad, I I had a great day, man. I just played some video games and I watched this movie. And yeah, I very much was very much had a good Labor Day. Julia had sadly a blackout yesterday. Like,
Ah,
her power.
at the time,
Yeah, she said she had tried to send me messages, but they didn't go through.
yeah.
Well, no worries. We'll have Julia on next week.
If anyone knows that area, it's prone to blackouts. It's been that way for a while.
Yeah. Also, she let me know that she can't talk to us on Twitter anymore because Brazil.
Yeah, they just banned it.
Yeah, yeah. Which
But
is
there is Discord.
yeah, Discord and Instagram, so we can still talk to her on there. But yeah, she'll be back this weekend, hopefully, if there's not another power outage. But thankfully, she's okay. But
Yeah,
yeah, she was like,
we'll see.
"Hey, I'm sorry. What's it called? She was like, "Hey, I'm sorry. I had a really bad blackout," and I was like, "Okay, it's okay." I was like, "Yeah, I figured something was going on," but yeah, she's like, "I tried to send you messages, but they didn't go through." I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna guess we were at a fucking power outage."
If you have no power, yeah, that's
Yeah, yeah. But Brad, today, well, we technically have one more movie left, Brad,
tech
that's available to
short
us.
short film
Yeah.
technically.
Well, we also have another one, but I don't know. I'm talking about the movies that he directed himself. I'm not talking about co-directing.
Yeah.
I'm talking about singular, directed by Andrei Tarkovsky. We have
The,
one more.
I mean, the thing with the co-directing is then you question how much because
How
we've
much
been through
input he had?
he had
Mm,
and what exactly he had to do because I've seen co-directing on some other directors we've done and it's just like this is not anything like what I've watched before from them. And you start to question like, okay, so what did he really get to have his view or his take on and
yeah,
his direction on? And to me, like those are probably his early days, the time when he's an intern, he's brought in to learn, and he's just set as a
yeah,
co-director.
yeah. Because like that's kind of how I felt about Variety Lights. With Fellini, that's a co-directed, but um, there's like bits and pieces where it kind of feels like Fellini, but it doesn't. It's
Yeah,
like not fully, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna guess that this wasn't really like that big of a film that he had a lot of input in. But yeah. So we technically still have one more that we can do, but for today, if we're counting just feature-length films that he made, today's our final on Tarkovsky review, and this
kind
is
of sad day.
yeah. This is also the last Tarkovsky film that Rad could watch for the first time, which
Yeah,
is like, and I had planned to watch this in the theater, but sadly that could not happen.
this kind of
Uh,
feels like when we finished on Edward Yang.
yeah, yeah. Well, in that one we still technically have one more, but that's a long fucking
Technically,
movie. Yeah. We technically have one more that we could watch called Duckweed, which is a TV film that he made, but like it's really long.
yeah.
Like it's almost like 3 hours long.
I mean, it's Edward Yang. I would probably be willing to watch that.
Yeah. It's really rough quality though. So
Yeah, that's always the issue, especially if it's a television.
yeah.
Eh.
But nonetheless, Brad, we should probably get into this then. So without further ado, if you have not seen Nostalgia, you should probably get out of here if you care about spoilers. Oh wait, I'm so sorry, guys. So this is our annual International Film Month. Today we're starting off this International Film Month with a movie from Italy. As you guys know, we do this every year on September. And the way that it goes is that Brad, now we do our coin toss off stream because we actually have to plan the schedule beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that International Film Month works is we're allowed one film from one country. Once that country is selected, no film can be selected from that country again. So we got a good amount of countries. We got 5 countries that we're talking about this month, 4 on here and 1 on Patreon. Pretty good amount of stuff that we're going to discuss. So today we're going to be looking at Italy. And of course, if you have not watched this, you should probably get out of here if you care about spoilers. But if you don't care about spoilers or you've already seen the film, you should go ahead and stay. Either way, how it goes is your one and only spoiler warning. And it is in effect in a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Today's episode of the Nerd Court is brought to you by SeatGeek. Whether you want to see your favorite band, sports team, or comedian, SeatGeek has you covered. We're proud to be partnering with SeatGeek to offer you $10 off your first order with code The Nerd Court. That's $10 off your first order at SeatGeek.com with code THENERDCORPS. So take a seat at your next live event with SeatGeek. Thank you. Now let's get back to today's video. Brad, I got a small little thing here for Wikipedia. That sounds really weird when you say it
I mean,
like that.
doesn't Kino Lorber?
Yeah, Kino Lorber has a better one. So I'm just
Yeah.
gonna go. I'm gonna read. I'm gonna read the Kino Lorber first, and I'm gonna read um, the um, the Wikipedia page. But this is it, guys. From KinoLorber.com, Andrei Tarkovsky explained that in Russian, the word nostalgia conveys the love for your homeland and the melancholy that arises from being far away. This debilitating form of homesickness is embodied in the film by Andrei, played by Oleg Yankovsky. Wow, and I get a big, massive ad right here in front of my face. Who is in The Mirror, a Russian intellectual doing research in Italy. He becomes obsessed with the Botticelli-like beauty of his translator, Eugenia, who is played by Domiziana Giordano, as well as with the apocalyptic ramblings of a self-destructed wanderer named Domenico, played by Erland Josephson from The Sacrifice. Written with frequent Michelangelo Antonioni collaborator Tonino Guerra, L'Avventura, and newly restored in 4K from the original camera negative, Nostalgia is a mystical and mysterious collision of East and West, shot with the tactile beauty that only Tarkovsky can provide. As Jake Huberman wrote, Nostalgia is not so much a movie as a place to inhabit for 2 hours. And of course, is a 1983 drama film directed by Andrei Tarkovsky, starring Oleg Yokovsky, Domiziana Giordano, and Erland Josephson. Tarkovsky co-wrote the screenplay with Tonino Guerra. Um, the film depicts a Russian writer who visits Italy to carry out research about an 18th century Russian composer, but is stricken by homesickness. The film utilizes autobiographical elements drawn from Tarkovsky's own experiences visiting Italy and explores themes surrounding the untranslate untranslatability of art and culture. Brad, can you say that one?
Untranslatability.
Okay. The film won the prize of the
Ecumenical.
we always have a problem with this fucking word. Ecumenical jury, the prize for best director, and the Fepresci Prize, which is just the Film Critics Prize at the 1983 Cannes Film Festival. It received generally positive reviews from critics. The film received 9 total votes in the 2012 Sight and Sound polls of the greatest films ever made. Cinematography is done by Giuseppe Lanci, who was the one who did believe he worked with Vittorio. No. Oh, Roberto Benigni. Yeah, he worked with Roberto Benigni. He shot what's it called? Life is Beautiful, and he shot with Lina Vermeuler. Um, Edited by Erminia Marani and Amedeo Salfa, and it sits at 2 hours and 5 minutes, and is a co-production between the Soviet Union and Italy. This movie was made on a budget of 500,000 euros and made $316,043. Yeah.
Yeah, he liked taking money from the Russians anyway.
Yeah. So this is during his exile. I don't know how much money Mosfilm.
You don't say. I couldn't tell from this film.
Yeah. Well, so this was when they were like, so this is when the Soviet Union was like, hey, you can't shoot here, but we'll put money towards.
You mean the Soviet Union figured out that he was fucking taking them for all they're worth?
Yeah. And this is when he was in a personal exile because, like, well, how what's it called? Tarkovsky explained was like, I can stay in the Soviet Union, but I won't have money because I can't make movies there.
Yeah, and if you can't make his art, then
yeah. So
why would he stay?
Yeah, but Brad, I've seen this movie 3 times now, so I'm gonna actually delegate to you. Brad, what are your initial thoughts on Nostalgia?
my initial thoughts on this are you can tell this is a Tarkovsky movie. It's shot very well. I think it's directed well. Um, the framing again, when I think of framing, like the best framing you can get for movies, Tarkovsky does it. There are times in this where I'm just looking, I'm like, this is a painting. Like you take a still shot of that, that's a painting. Um, and so I give him credit in all those aspects. It's just I think I prefer other movies of his over this, which isn't a bad thing. This is a good movie, but I think I prefer Solaris and definitely Stalker, Ivan's Childhood. I like prefer those movies. I prefer those stories, but I understand what he's going for here because we've talked about Tarkovsky for so long that I know he went into an exile from the Russians. They eventually got tired of him, wouldn't give him any more money. Um, and so he was shooting in different areas. And you can definitely tell there is a sadness. There's a certain sadness over this film. There's certain depression. And not saying that other movies like Soccer don't have that sadness in it or Ivan's Childhood. Like a lot of
The
these are
sacrifice.
yeah, sacrifice, even the mirror, like Tarkovsky does not make happy, joyful movies generally. Like there might be instances in it, but it's generally very, movies with a lot of melancholy. I would say a bit of depression thrown in there. This one is overly depressing because you can feel Tarkovsky is homesick.
Oh, he's
And
very homesick.
he's very homesick. I mean, that just comes through in this movie, and it's a bit much. It's a bit much to handle. And it's not a bad movie at all. I think it tells a very you know grandiose story of how much he does miss his home and how much he, at least this character, misses his family, and he's trying to fill that with he's putting his attention towards his translator, and then this when he basically he's like, I don't want to look at you anymore. He goes and finds the crazy guy in the village.
Brad, and I agree with you wholeheartedly, but there's something that I picked up this time around. I think there's a bit of resentment to the Soviet Union in this movie too.
I mean, we've
And
seen
that,
Tarkovsky talk about that, about the church
yeah,
and about the
but
Soviet
here
Union.
specifically, it comes in where the discussion he's having about art. I think it's him talking directly to the Soviet government and saying, "You expect me to come over here, make my movies here, which are very Russian. My movies are very Russian. No matter
You can't get
what
he's
language
Russian.
I make them in,
Yeah,
they're still inherently Russian,
yeah, because he's
and they're
Russian.
made through that lens that I don't think the people of Italy or the people of Sweden will understand it the way that the people from Soviet Union understand it."
No, and we've seen enough Tarkovsky. We know who he makes movies for.
Yeah.
He makes it for his people.
And I think that like this time around, like it really picked up on that sense of resentment, not anger, more just like resenting the fact that they won't let him make movies there anymore,
Yeah,
which makes him have to go out here. And which, by the way, Tarkovsky was a massive fan of Fellini, and to me, the reason, the fact that like he couldn't make a movie with Fellini here, I think is also a big thing as to why this movie isn't as high for me. Like
yeah.
I would have thought that like he would have made a film with at least one of Fellini's collaborators here.
I can't. I know he loved Fellini. I just can't. In my head, I'm trying to figure out a Fellini Tarkovsky collaboration, and they're just so.
Yeah.
There's just such a difference
Well,
of Fellini's chaotic, and then Tarkovsky's very stoic.
yeah.
Trudging through the fucking mud and murk of my soul.
I'm thinking like something like because like of course when he does the sacrifice, he works with Bergman, who's one of his biggest inspirations. He works with Bergman's cinematographer.
Yeah,
He
which I
doesn't outwardly work with Bergman. I would have thought that him going to Italy, he would have paired up with maybe Nino Rota to do the score for this movie. Which I don't think he was alive by then. Yeah, I believe he probably wasn't alive by then. This is 80. This is
yeah
83. Or would have worked with um Claudia, who was in Eight and a Half, one of the actresses or something, who was a frequent collaborator of um of his work, of Fellini's work, or shit, man, fucking Mastroianni. But to me, I think that was something that so I was like, oh man, it kind of feels like a bit of a missed opportunity there to him
Yeah,
to have been able to work with somebody who had
in
worked with
Fellini,
someone he
in Fellini's
admired so
circle.
much.
Yeah,
Yeah, that he admired so much.
I see the thing with like I can see him working like with the Ingmar Bergman, like
Yeah,
that circle. Fellini is just so chaotic to me. I just it's really hard. I can picture maybe him working with some of the actors or actresses in those movies, but Fellini himself, their visions are. I
yeah,
mean, Fellini has a
yeah,
circus in every film.
yeah. Yeah, and it's like if he would have gone to Japan, I feel like he would have ended up making a movie with somebody who worked with Mitsuguchi, and because he had loved Mitsuguchi so much.
Yeah,
But I mean, I digress. It's still something that I noticed, but the resentment is something that I really picked up this time around. I have to say, this is my least favorite Tarkovsky film. This is ranked the lowest, and now at a
yeah.
third
I
time
was
watching
expecting
this
this to
movie,
be up there for you, but just from a cinematography wise, it's quite a beautiful film.
it has my favorite final shot of a Tarkovsky film. I don't think that last shot is topped by anything in any other one of his movies. Maybe, maybe the house burning in The Sacrifice.
You mean the second time the house burned?
Yeah, second time the house burned. But like, it's one of my favorite final shots in a Tarkovsky film. But this movie is just nowhere near like Ivan's childhood. Mirror, anything that he's ever made.
It's
It's
not. It's not. I'm sorry. Like, there's nothing really close to Stalker, if I'm being
no,
honest.
no. It's this greatest, this
That
best movie he made.
I mean, if it wasn't like for Ikiru, Stalker might be my number two favorite movie.
Yeah, yeah,
It's that high.
yeah,
So I can't really put it in that realm. But like you said, I like Solaris, and I think I like Mirror better. I think I like Ivan's Childhood better.
yeah,
I might like The Sacrifice and Andrei Rublev better.
yeah. But it's still undeniably Tarkovsky. I love the actors in this movie, especially the whole journey with Domenico.
Yeah,
I like, and just the end where he's having his massive speech and he lights himself on fire. And I love how you get the record scratch in there, and then you have the symphony play, and then it just like cuts off again.
yeah, and you hear his screams at the end when he's dying. I
Yeah,
mean, like I said, this movie, this is going over stuff. This movie might be his most depressing. I
it
mean,
really is.
it comes through. This man's hurting for
And
home.
that's why I say, Brad. That's why I'm telling you, man. You have to watch Tarkovsky chronologically.
Yeah,
Because when you get to this point, you feel that drop off where he's like, yeah, I can't make these movies anymore. I can't make them in my country anymore.
yeah,
And
and
it really hits him because it's what's it called? It's right after Stalker. His last movie he makes um
in his homeland.
in his homeland.
But he
And
was trying.
his best one.
Did you see? He was trying to recreate so much like his homeland in that the
Oh
wet
yeah.
floor, like the flooded floors and all that. Like
The
there's
bed, Brad.
there's shots in this where I think it might be some of his best shots. The one where he opens the door
Hmm.
and
He
it's
references a lot of his movies here.
yeah. Well, he opens the door and then you see like there's straw on the ground and it's forming like a
Yeah.
little river, and then he zooms in and then it turns into like the hills,
Yeah.
and and I'm just like, well, that's wild. And
Yeah.
that might be the hills of Russia for all I know that he's trying to depict in there.
Yeah. And also the bed, that's that's the same bed. I don't think it's the same bed, but I'm
It
pretty
looks
sure
like
it's
the
the
same
same
bed in
from
Stalker.
Stalker.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks like the same Ruben Stalker too,
Yeah.
which and Mirror. But I he does reference a lot of his movies here. Um but deep at the heart of this movie, it is Tarkovsky venting to us for 2 hours of how he misses the Soviet Union. He misses making movies there, but he resents the fact that his government doesn't take him seriously and won't let him make movies there, and they expect him to land on his feet and make movies in a country that isn't going to understand the way that he makes movies in Russia.
Yeah, I mean, the Russians don't appreciate his art.
Yeah. And I still do think it's a great movie. I really like it, but it's not on the level of anything else he's ever made it's I'm putting together this one and The Sacrifice, and I'm look at the movies that he made outside of Russia, and The Sacrifice is 100
I
times
mean,
more
I like the
stronger,
sacrifice. I like the
way
sacrifice better.
stronger, is way
Yeah,
stronger.
I see because when you said you'd seen this 3 times, I was like, oh god. I'm like, I'm not, I'm not enjoying this like all
Yeah,
the others movies. I feel, it's Tarkovsky, but I don't like the story as much, and I think the pacing with it isn't as good as his other movies. But saying that, this is still Tarkovsky, and Tarkovsky doesn't miss. It's just when you compare it to the other movies of
yeah,
his, they're not as strong.
yeah. I've seen it three
It's
times
not as
because
strong.
I watched it for the first time. I watched the Blu-ray when I bought it to do my
Yeah.
review for my channel, and then I watched it now this time. Uh, and once my player is what's it called fixed, this will go in there and be watched on 4K. So but yeah, it was really
I will say congrats to whoever restored it
yeah.
because I had no issue with that picture quality.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks beautiful. I think they did a great job at restoring this. It's going to be a while before I can actually make a video about this release, guys. So I'll go ahead and give you a little taste of what I would say in my review is that I think this looks great. They fixed a lot of what was a massive problem visually in the film. Stop, Brad. In the original Blu-ray release, but the audio is still a problem. It is very hissy. You hear so much noise, and
How's it in comparison to the previous releases though? Is
it's the
it
same
better?
audio track.
It's
It's the
same
same
audio.
audio
They didn't
track.
do anything.
It's not much of a difference, Brad.
What? So that brings up the question: why would you go through the trouble of fixing the visual, but not fixing the audio?
Yeah, which this I don't think this comes with a. Does it come with a with a booklet here to tell you about what the differences are? No, no. Of course it doesn't. It's
Why
just
would it?
a. It's a 2.0 stereo track, and here we go. I'm gonna do a little bit of Alejandro Mendoza. What's it called? A YouTube channel searching here. Um, Let me look at this. Saya 1983. Audio, yes, the same thing, Brad. Is the 2.0 audio track.
Okay.
It's the same track.
So they would, yeah. I don't know. It doesn't
They
make
just
it.
ported it to the 4K. That's all they did. It was just that. It was just a porting to the 4K. Yeah, audio's still really rough. I have a really big problem with that one with the audio quality. But visually looks fantastic. I
Yeah.
think they did a great job with that. I just wish that they would have given a lot more love to the audio here and fixed that. But I don't know.
Uh,
Maybe what else is there? What's it called to do? It's a DTS HD Master Audio 2.0 track. So
I don't know. I mean, maybe they just didn't have the money for it. But shout out to Stacy though. Happy Labor Day.
happy Labor Day, Stacy. Thank you so much for your help today. Um, but
Also,
yeah.
Stacy says you hear so much noise. Yeah, some call that the noise dialogue. But as a movie expert, that's nonsense.
Here says there's only one standard audio track on this release. Actually, subtitles. Clarity, sharpness, and stability are excellent as expected. However, there are at least two spots where the continuity of the English translation is broken. No, it's not excellent audio. It's still very much not what's it called. I don't know. Maybe I'm talking. Maybe the Blu-ray track is different, Brad. Maybe the
I mean,
Blu-ray track is different.
the audio didn't throw me off, but honestly, I'm probably used to worse audio. And
Yeah,
again, I like when you're having to read subtitles anyway,
yeah,
the dialogue kind of comes across secondary because I'm just trying to fucking read.
yeah. Nonetheless, I still think it's a good release. I want to dive deep into these special features because there's a new commentary in it. There's a new what's it called interview with the cinematographer of the film. So It was also it's good that they were able to have the cinematographer work on this as well, and they were able to
Yeah,
get
for the
him.
update, I did see
Yeah,
they mentioned that.
yeah. So I'm glad that they at least somebody okayed this who worked on the film.
Yeah.
But yeah, either way, it looks fantastic. It's a good movie, guys, but it's just not my favorite work from Tarkovsky. Um, yeah, it's just there's not a lot to really bring out of this other than the fact that it's just 2 hours of Tarkovsky venting through these characters. And I agree with that quote from the Kino Lorber site. This really isn't a story to follow. More so, it's just a place to exist in within these 2 hours. And you,
And I mean that's really what the this character, this guy is. He's existing.
yeah,
And it's very I mean Tarkovsky's depressing in itself in his movies, but this one
yeah,
hits on a whole new note.
yeah. Well, Brad, I'm going to stay with the same. I'm pretty much the same. A score I gave this the last time I watched it, which I'm gonna just check real quick what it is. I'm pretty sure it's an 8.25, but yeah, God, man, I really okay. I watched. Okay, yeah, okay, it is 3 times. What did I give? Okay, I don't have anything on there. Cool. No, nothing on there either. No, nothing on there. Uh, so I'm gonna go ahead and say that this is about an 8.25 out of 10. It's still a really good movie. I really like it, but it is my lowest rating. It is very much my lowest rating for him. But still a great movie. I just don't think it's as high as anything here. Brad, what's your final verdict?
I think I'm going to go with an 8 out of 10. I think visually it's still it's great visually.
Yeah,
The story, but based on all the previous movies we watched of his, the story doesn't captivate me as much, and the pacing. I mean, it's a slow plod through sadness. That's what this
yeah,
movie is.
yeah. In case you're interested, here's my ranking, guys. At number 7, I have Nostalgia. Number 6, I have Ivan's Childhood. At number 5, I have The Mirror. At number 4, I have Solaris. At number 3, I have The Sacrifice. At number 2, I have Andrei Rublev. And at number 1, I have Stalker. That is my ranking of Andrei Tarkovsky. And yeah, no, that's all his movies. So that's how I put it. I don't think anything ever touches Stalker from his movies. Uh, but the one that I did end up giving a higher score that the time around I got to rewatch it was Ivan's Childhood. I was more at like around an 8 when I watched it,
Yeah,
and when I rewatched it again, when I did my review of that Blu-ray, I went up to like a 9.
yeah.
Went up to a 9. I thought it was great. And then everything from 5 to 1 is just pure tens. Those are all tens. They just both just they all just organize themselves there by which one I prefer. But yeah, man, that's the conclusion. That concludes our review of Nostalgia, and that also concludes our review of the feature films of Mr. Andrei Tarkovsky. That's it, man. Wow,
Another director.
another director. That's it, man. As complete filmography for him, we have reviews for all of his movies, and yeah, I can't wait for you guys to take a little dive into where our review started with him because I think our first one is Stalker.
I think it is Stalker.
Yeah, it's Stalker. Then it's The Sacrifice,
I think so.
and then it's Ivan's Childhood. It was Brad was the last one because he won that coin toss, and it
I
was
think it might have been the mirror. Was it the mirror?
yes, it was The Mirror, and then our mini pod was
Solaris.
Solaris, and then we did Andrei
We
Rublev
did
for
Andrei
international.
Rublev like a couple years after that, just because
Yeah,
Andrei Rublev was 3 hours, and we just
yeah,
Raul got to the point of like, let's just do this, and I'm like, okay.
yeah. Which great movie. I don't know why the hell we put it out for so long.
Shouldn't there be some sort of achievement unlock noise for that?
Yeah,
I mean, we have the laughing Raul, I guess, if you want to
I
do
guess,
that.
yeah, yeah.
There you
There you
go.
go. Yeah, yeah. No, the real achievement unlocked is going to be for Kurosawa. That's
Kurosawa.
yeah, that's
But
going to be the real.
I
What's
mean,
it called? The achievement unlocked.
we're
And Bergman.
we're pretty close to Kurosawa.
We're
Closer
very
than
close.
I ever thought.
Yeah, yeah. Because I don't think Brad expected me to like Kurosawa as much when he first brought it up. But yeah, we're very very close. And but I'm really happy that we got to do this one, and I'm glad that I waited for us to talk about a good looking version of this movie.
Yeah, I think I would have been. I think I would have been a little worse on the film had it looked bad.
Yeah,
Because I mean, it
it's too late.
needed like if this was blurry and shit, I probably would have been, not towards Tarkovsky, but just towards the movie itself of being like, you bring me this, you bring me this
Mhm.
after I've watched all of Tarkovsky, and this is what I have to look at.
Yeah. But of course, you can follow us on the nerdcore.com, Twitter at the nerdcore, Instagram at the nerdcore, Letterboxd at the nerdcore, TikTok at the nerdcore, patreon.com/the nerdcore. Our Discord link is in the description below where you can talk to us about all other Tarkovsky films that you want to talk to us about. Go ahead and check us out there. We love to interact with you guys. In the YouTube comments, tell me your favorite Tarkovsky film. Do you own this release from Kino Lorber? And what are your thoughts on Nostalgia? One of those three. Leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell so you don't miss another review on this channel. And of course, if you're on a podcast app, make sure that you leave a 5-star review and you follow us on your favorite podcast app of choice. All of that really helps us out a lot. And yeah, Brad, we want to thank our patrons. They make it possible, and without them, we wouldn't have made it to this far to finish up Tarkovsky. Let's be honest. At least
Nope.
at the level that we're doing it.
Nope.
So we want to thank all of you guys, especially our executive producer Shane. Where can they find him?
You can follow our friend Shane at twitch.tv/xsrk or on Twitter at thrifted.io, or go buy something from the Suppy God at dpop.com/prison city vintage.
Yes, sir. And of course, we are just barely starting this month, guys. We got more reviews coming this week. This week on Thursday, we're going to be doing our review of Takeshi Kitano's brother, which is just an extra review that I have brought over from last month that Brad was not able to watch because we weren't able to get access to it. But now that we are able to watch it, we're going to be doing those reviews for you guys. So stay tuned for that Thursday on the Patreon, patreon.com/nerdcore, the $1 tier. And then, of course, Sunday again for Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. But without further ado, Brad, let's go ahead and get him out of here.
Before I do that, Stacy says, "Brother, the Hulk Hogan story."
Yes.
No. All right, Raul. Thank you for being host as always. Thank you to Stacy for joining us in chat today. We appreciate it. Thank you to our listeners out there, our Patreon supporters. We appreciate each and every one of you. And to end this episode, if you're feeling homesick, don't watch this movie. Kia ora.